And we are live, hopefully. Woo, 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 woo. Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Hello. First things first, I just want to make sure everyone can hear us both clearly. That is a concern of mine in past live shows.
Well, I can hear you. So
yeah. Okay, cool. I can hear you as well. Are we live? I don't see. Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Now I see comments. Hello, welcome. If you are here, this is the live show for the Minders, for my book club called the Book Troop, and I am joined by my lovely friend Katie, who is so lovely. Her link is in the description. If you haven't followed her for some reason, her videos are amazing, and I adore her. And why don't you just introduce yourself and just say what your channel's about,
Okay. What is my channel about? You're not going to guess it. I read books, and then I scream at you about them. Plot twist. You're not going to guess. Listen to a lot of audiobooks. It's basically just me listening to audiobooks, doing my dishes, and then yelling. And chaotic energy.
Yeah, that's your brand.
That's period.
Period. That's your brand. We love to see it. All right. Well.
Yes, oh my God, there's my mom. Sorry. Hey, Mom.
Hello, Katie's mom. Dude, your mom's name is Kim. My mom's name is Kim.
Oh my God, that's perfect. If she takes the Enneagram and she's a 2, I'm going to lose it.
God. Hello. Yeah, so I guess just to start, why don't you let us know, maybe you can put an orange emoji in the chat if you have read this book, so we know if you're here because you have read this book, and then maybe if you have not read this book, you can put a black heart emoji, just so we can get an idea of who is all here just to hang out for a bit. So we won't jump into spoilers right away, obviously. If you're just here to hang out, that's cool.
Yeah, because it's going to be a lot of spoilers. It's going to be a lot.
We'll get there. I just want to know if there's anybody here just hanging out with us who hasn't read it yet. Oh wow, lots of black hearts. Okay, yeah. I wanted to apologize because I didn't realize that this book was going to literally spoil The One and the Passengers. What? And apparently people were messaging John Mars and he said it didn't, which
I literally, my first note is page 12.
Yeah.
He doesn't just spoil it. He surmises the entire 2 books. Everything that happens, he surmises on page 12.
Exactly. So I'm how does this not spoil it? It literally ruins the ending of both of the previous books.
I don't understand why an author would be you know what I'm going to do? I'm only going to write a book for people that have already read 2 standalones.
Yeah. And then not classify it as a series. What?
Excuse me?
What? Yeah, so I'm sorry about that. If anybody read this and maybe got spoiled, or if anybody couldn't read this month because they haven't read The Passengers or The One, I'm so sorry about that. It's frustrating, but yeah, okay. So it seems there's a mixed bag of people that have read it and have not read it. So
I love that. I read The Passengers instead.
Nice. I mean, we can talk. I mean, maybe not talk about The Passengers in The One too. I don't know. We'll see how it goes in the spoilery section. But for now, why doesn't everyone just put their rating in the chat so we can see out of 5? What did you rate this book? I don't know what you rated this book, Katie. So I'm excited to know what you rated it. So why don't you tell?
There was a lot of options where you would have been able to find out.
Yeah.
For a particular reason.
Okay. So we have some 4s, some 5s, 3.5, 3, 4. Justin, 2.5. I see you there. Haley gave it. Oh, where did her comment go? Haley gave it 3.5. Okay, lay it on me. What did you give it?
Because I don't do this a lot. I think last year I only had 7 of these, but I gave it a 1 star. I really hated it. Really hated it. And you know what? I think it's because I love John Mars so much. I felt like I was mad at him while I was reading this book.
I understand that, yeah.
And the other 2 books, I was And I think I got like another book that I gave 1 star. 1 star was 8 Perfect Murders because of the spoileriness. And that was like hella vibes in this book where I was like, why are you spoiling better books? Like,
yeah, you know, I feel that honestly.
I wanted to give it a 2. Like, I was like, this is going to be like at first when I was reading it, I was like kind of bored. I was like, okay, this is going to be like a 3 star. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's going to be a 2 star because he was doing all that stuff. And then at the end, I was like, I can't really think of things that I liked about it. So I feel like I have to give it 1 star. It's so horrible. Like, I still love it, but not as much as I did.
Oh, shit. Wow. 1 star. Holy shit.
Listen. I didn't like it. And you know what? It was a perfect choice. Perfect choice. I love John Mars. The other 2 books, phenomenal. Recommend them all the time. Absolutely love them. I don't know what happened. I think it was quarantine. And in the end, I read the acknowledgments because I was like, what was going on in your life? And he said in the acknowledgments that he like had just had a baby that only weighed like 2 pounds when it was born while he was writing this book. And that's why it took so long to write. And I was like, also, can I say something real quick that Grace and I can't stop talking about? I don't think I've ever seen a man look more like a Libra than John Mars.
A Libra? Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. Wow. Well, okay, shoot. 1 star. I don't know how I feel. Honestly, like I'm still kind of undecided on my rating, but I feel like I'm somewhere around a 2.5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Same as Justin. I feel like, yeah, it's just this book, for the most part, I was trying to enjoy this so hard. Like, I feel like I was trying to push myself to be like, no, this is cool. Like, I'm really enjoying this because I wanted to love it so badly. And then, like, towards the middle, I was just like, dude, I don't care. I'm so bored. Like, what the heck? And then at the ending, I was just, like, underwhelmed. So I just, like, I don't know, man. I have, like, mixed feelings about it. But, yeah, and same, yeah, what Haley said, I totally got, like, slumpy because of this book. Like, by the middle of this book, I was like, I don't want to finish this. You know?
See, this is what's funny is I saw your vlog and then I saw your Goodreads, and something that is hilarious is that I made a whole vlog about this. Like I vlogged the entire, I like highlighted and like wrote in this book, and then I deleted all the footage and didn't put it out because I was like, every time I'm talking to the camera, I'm like,
yeah, I'm pissed.
And then I'm just like, well, okay, like, no. And I was like, I don't want to put that out because it's so dismal, and I don't want to be like so negative. So I was like, it's not even going to put it out there. But I felt that way too. And I actually, when I was like, I think I had like this or something I had like this much left because I kept reading like 10 pages at a time. Finally, I was like, I'm not going to go to sleep until I finish this. And I stayed up until like 3:30 a.m. I was like, nope.
I know. I also finished it like really late at night, like 2 or 3 a.m. And I never do that anymore. But I was just like, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and want to read this book. So I need to finish this now.
Yes. I was like, I'm not carrying this in tomorrow. And actually, now that I say that, I haven't physically picked up another book since that. I've only listened to like audios that I know I'm going to love.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, I just.
Hard.
Well, it is because I love his other stuff so much. I'm like, and I even, okay, we'll get into that when we get into spoilers.
Yeah, no, I feel the same. Like, that's why I'm like so shocked that I didn't love this. This is an interesting question because I do think The Passengers, you should still read it after The Minders because The Passengers and The One are like really, really great books. So I feel like if you don't mind that you might have gotten a little bit spoiled, you know, for those books, I do feel like they're still worth reading because they're so much fun.
Well, also, I think you definitely get spoiled. Like, you get so spoiled on the plot is what you get spoiled on. But the thing that's so much better, in my opinion, about his other 2 books are the characters are so funny and like interesting, and the plot twists with the characters are very interesting. Where in The Passengers, you can read it just for like the crazy stuff that happens between the characters. You're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, we didn't even give a summary of what the book is about. Do you want to maybe like give a quick little summary?
Yeah. Sure. You know what? Because I tried to do this in the video and I was like, here we go. So the basis of this is that apparently a lot of people are trying to hack in to the governments of our different countries to try to hack in and get their conspiracies, basically, like all the government secrets. I thought it was like government passcodes, but then I was like, okay, it's like conspiracy theories. So each country has all their government conspiracy theories, and people are trying to hack in and get them. And the UK is like, not us, sis. Nice try. So they're like, we're going to be the one that doesn't have that happen. So they decide to put all this information into tiny marbles and put it into 5 different people's heads, and then just send them out into the universe and hope nobody ever finds out that they have all this stuff inside their head.
Yeah, okay, isn't just like the premise of this book so strange? Because like it doesn't really make sense to me. Like, why? First of all, why? Like the idea of like putting all this like information into people's like heads, and then like just like not even supervising their lives, kind of just like throwing them out there. And I guess the reason for that, right, was that they're like, well, we just want them to be like, you know, like everyday people, and so it's like not obvious, right? But like, what?
They could have put it into monkeys.
Yeah.
It would have been easier. You could have just put it into monkeys, put it into 5 different zoos around the UK. And I mean, am I writing the book now? Like, I feel like I just solved all John Mars' problems.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I'm like so confused. Like I feel like I couldn't get invested because I didn't really like understand the premise. I was like, what?
Okay, but also I feel like John Mars like kind of forgot, or like the government of the UK forgot like the fickleness of humanity, or real quick, free will.
Oh yeah, I know.
I was confused. I was like, John Mars, like, wait, what are you doing? I don't understand. Like, that was really confusing. I was like, okay, I don't understand why you would I don't understand why they didn't just put all the information and put it in their head, but not have them have access to it. Them having access to it is way too powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it was weird because like they knew some things, right? Like this isn't like a spoiler, I don't think, but like there would be parts in the book where they'd be like, oh yeah, like the public doesn't actually know this. Like when they were at like trivia night or something, they'd be like, oh yeah, I know the real truth. So it's like they could access like some of the like information, I guess, but like I don't know, it was really, yeah, there's so many loopholes. It was really strange.
I almost am like afraid to, like, because there's so many things I'm thinking and so many things I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I'm like, is that a spoiler?
I know. I don't know like what's considered a spoiler or not, but okay, before we do jump into the spoiler section, I did have a question that I thought would be a fun question to ask you. If you saw this link online that says click here to start your life again, and you got this weird invite, would you like click it, or would you be like, nah?
Well, okay, for starters, especially, okay, wait, actually I never even thought about this before. When you said that, I was like, I would think spam. The whole time I was seeing these characters, I was like, right? You expect me to believe? I'm like, yeah, it's spam. But also, you would absolutely think it's spam because all of the countries are getting hacked by activists, and you randomly get a message and you're like, start your life over again with one click. And I'm like,
I know. Yeah.
I was like, these people, the government already didn't pick people that were super smart, so.
I know, it did sound like spam. Like I would never. You're like, sounds like the fastest way to get hacked.
I was like, I kind of understand where it's like, oh, they're like, oh, send you a train ticket. I'm like, okay, I guess if it's all prepaid, but they don't even tell you like where you're going or what you're gonna do. It's just like, here's a ticket, show up to the train station. Don't know what you should bring, but
I know that's so sketchy. Like no. Oh man. All right. So yeah, should we just jump into spoilers? Like fuck it.
Yes. I only have the one page of notes. So
I know, fuck. I have a few pages of notes, but it's more just like notes about what happened in the story, so I wouldn't forget. You know, it's not like really all my thoughts.
Oh, but, you know what? This might not. You know what? I can say this one thing that I was like, I have to say this, and it's not a spoiler, so I guess we could just say it right now. The biggest question I have about this book, and I could not stop thinking this. I was like, John Mars, I don't know how far you can reach, but you reach it. So these characters, you know, they start their life over and they're like government agents now. Okay, cool. Right. So they're like, oh, start your life over. And they get to be dropped in like a wherever they want to be in the UK. They could pick wherever they want to be.
Right.
Get, a credit card and is like, oh, it's an unlimited amount. Just go and live your life, sis. Do whatever you want. Endless money. Okay, cool. They have to change themselves. Like, I guess they were kind of confusing about that, whether they had to change the way they looked, which whatever. But they have to change their name. Okay, so here's the thing. You're expecting me, John Mars, to believe, to follow you in this notion that the fate, the freedom of the United Kingdom lies in the hands of a 36-year-old woman who chose to change her name to Flick Kennedy.
Oh my God, I know.
Flick.
Yeah.
Kennedy.
Flick.
I've lost faith in the plan. I couldn't stop. I think I wrote like so much about that where I was like, what's wrong with her? Like,
oh my God. I know. Well, all of the names were pretty unique. Like, I mean, I think the only common name was Charles. But all the names were pretty unique. Oh, apparently somebody said Flick is a common name in the UK.
Oh my God, that's my best friend. Grace, why didn't you ever tell me that?
Oh shit. Grace, what's up?
I've been complaining about this girl's name this whole time, and she waited for this live show to really read me on I seriously, the whole book was like, Flick, no offense, anybody in the UK, but are you hearing me say it? Flick. Like, sorry, but Jesus Christ.
Oh, she's kidding. Oh my God. Maybe it is a UK thing. I don't know.
It very well could be. This is my ignorance, but good Lord.
Oh man.
Oh, okay. Oh, never mind. I can't say that because I might get a spoiler. Okay.
I know. I was gonna say so.
Oh my God. Okay. No, wait. Hold on. We got to confirm. Charlotte, I'm from the UK. Can confirm. Never heard that name before. Thank you.
There it is. There it is. Oh my gosh, he wants to say hi. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why is Bruno a literal name?
Yes. Oh my God. Tank an extra.
Tank. He's being so annoying. I don't know if I should just put him in the other room. He's bothering me.
He's like, hey, guys.
What's going on?
He's like, you all know you want to see me. Come on.
Right? Okay. All right. So, yeah, I think we're just going to jump into spoilers because I do have spoilery content that I would like to talk about now. So, unfortunately, if you haven't read this book, or maybe, I mean, if you don't plan to read it now that you've heard our ratings, maybe you can stick around. I don't know. But if you don't want to be spoiled for this book, then please, you can exit this live show now because we are going to jump into some spoilers. Yeah. So, what's the first thing that, or I guess, what is the thing that made you so like the number one biggest disappointed thing about this book? That was like spoilery.
The first thing that comes to mind is how pointless almost every single plot twist was. Like,
yes.
And the biggest one that's coming to mind is, and again, if you haven't read it, you should be gone by now, but Gail and Sinead, whenever she comes to her door, and Gail's been, totally normal. She comes to the door and she just hears the baby crying and looks through and sees the Gail screaming and slap the baby in the face, and then she has to steal this baby. And wait, the plot twist doesn't make any sense because she steals the baby and she when Sinead is breastfeeding a fucking different woman's baby, I was like, what is happening right now? This doesn't need to be happening. And then guess what happens? The baby just disappears and we never hear about the baby again because it didn't matter.
Yeah, what? I honestly forgot about this plot part. What the heck?
That was like a lot of the notes on this page. It was, excuse me?
Dude, what? I was like so confused by what was happening with like Amelia's part, and it took me so long to realize that Amelia wasn't one of the minders. It was like that dude, right? And then it was like they killed the dude, and then they were like the guy that she was with or whatever, that was like her husband, right? Or whatever. They killed him, and then they were like, oh, like you're coming with us because you know where all the other minders are. And I was like, wait, but she's not a minder, so how does she know?
And the fact that the only way she knew was because of the magnetic photos on the fridge. And I was like, they didn't know that.
I know. Like, what?
You know what's funny is I found Amelia's chapters to be the most interesting. And when I found out that she wasn't a minder, I was like, okay, that probably adds up. Adds up.
I know.
Okay. That's another spoiler where I was like, what is that? I didn't understand why Amelia was so intent on being like, I'll kill you to find out who I am. Like, tell me who I am. I have to know who I am. And I was like, so she definitely wasn't a minder because she didn't want to start over. She was just like, who am I? You have to tell me. Before she even found out that she had a son, had daughters and a husband, she was going to kill people to find out what her real name was. I'm like,
I know. Yeah. I know. Yeah. That's why I was so confused because I'm like, okay, like, yeah. And what Kimberly said, like, I think it's revealed at the end, right, that she actually was a minder. And that's why she had like an episodic episode or whatever, because she, like, they wiped it, whatever. I don't know. So she didn't remember that, right? So she was originally a minder. But it's like, what?
The fact that they did it more than once, like all the little government things where they would have like the prime minister coming in, and the fact that the prime minister literally had zero power. The prime minister's like, I don't know about this. And they're like, well, sucks to suck. We're doing it anyway. And then they had one round of minders, and then they had a second round, and she's like, are we going to really let you do this again? And I'm like, okay, I don't think, is this a spoiler? I don't know. But I'm like, why? If they're going to put something in their brain and they're going to like do full makeover, train them on like withstanding all this stuff and train them physically to like fight people and stuff. I'm like, one, somebody is going to grab one of these girls' asses and then everybody's going to find out she has a freaking black belt in karate. Like, I've been to a bar, like this, it's good. People are going to find out. But I was like, I don't understand why he didn't like wipe their memory or do something with their memory, because he's putting them out in the world and then just going, okay, you're not supposed to tell anybody, right?
Yeah, I know. Like, what? And also, like, what was it? The guy Bruno was the one that had the son, right? And he was the one that actually completed it. Okay, like, how unrealistic is that they would actually go through with like the surgery into his head and all that without like double checking and confirming that he was the one that did this,
Yeah.
Like, what? Oh my gosh. Hold on, I'm going to put Frank in the other room real fast. He's driving me nuts. But
I felt like they did say at one point, whenever he's like, oh, it wasn't me, it was my son. I feel like they were like, oh, yeah, we know, but I'm like, why is it also that when Bruno is like going bunkers, batshit crazy, that they weren't like, this is a red flag. And he tells them, that's the thing, is Bruno wasn't even hiding. Bruno was like, so people are like talking inside my brain. Like I'm seeing people talking. Like there's people around me. I'm seeing hallucinations and they're like, it'll pass. It'll pass. And I was like, no, it won't. Do you know what I'm saying?
Are you talking about Bruno?
Yeah, Bruno's hallucinations, that during the testing, those couple months, they knew. He told the therapist and the psychologist he was seeing hallucinations. And they were just like, so? They were, we're so far in now.
Yeah, I know. What?
And okay, wait. Also, Bruno. So many problems with Bruno. Bruno, he looks like himself. Some people had plastic surgery, maybe a little bit, or they had teeth whitening, straightening. And he was supposed to be somewhere that was not the city that he lived in. He could go anywhere else. But I'm sorry, did he not go immediately to the city because he was following the people that he was trying to kill?
Yeah. His whole thing was like so confusing. Yeah, I so agree. And same with Haley. Yeah, the echoes were a weak point. The whole thing was like so confusing. Like, I don't know why I kept getting Bruno and Charles like mixed up in my head. Like their point of views read like so similar to me. And like I feel like with this book, like there wasn't a single character that I really, really cared about. So I feel like that's what made it so hard for me to like keep all their storylines straight in my head, because they all kind of like read the same. Like I don't know if that was just me, but I felt like their point of views were so similarly written that it was really hard for me to differentiate them. And then too, like, do you feel like there were some action scenes that like didn't make sense. Like I kept having to go back and like reread certain action scenes because like the flow of the action just like didn't make any sense. Like
yeah, because each character had the same internal they all did the same thing, even if they were crazy for a different reason. When they got that message, it was like they all did the same. You know what? The only character that I was like feeling anything for, where I was like, hello, it was Karen. That was the only, and Karen was the woman who Bruno was trying to kill. But then what I assumed was that the reason that Bruno didn't want to kill her wasn't, I mean, he could have just been a man and was like, oh, she's pretty, so now I can't meta her. But I thought that what John Mars was saying was that they were matched and that that's why they had this immediate connection and he didn't want to kill her. But who knows?
I guess not, right?
I mean maybe.
And that whole thing with like Flick, how she had gotten matched with Christopher, who was like the killer from the one. Like,
thank you.
What was the point of that? And like the way that they, you know, when they spoiled the end of the one, when they said, you know, that like, oh, some of the matches weren't right or whatever, right? So then why was Flick still like so certain that that guy Christopher was her match when like in the last book he had been matched with that other girl? So it's like, I don't know.
Oh, I think it was, I thought that what he was saying was that she took the test or that it came back after, so that was the actual match. Like her and Christopher were the actual match and that the other one wasn't real. But I was going to ask you that. I was like, is Christopher the serial killer from the one? Because
yeah, I thought so.
And then also, okay, that disappointed me a lot because I was like, I don't care about this 36-year-old restaurant owner named Flick Kennedy. I cared about the cop, the detective from the other book. And also in the show, the one they said, which this isn't like, I don't think this is a spoiler because it's like, I feel like it's said pretty early on in the show, but they say you can have more than one match, but they don't say that in the book.
Yeah, what? That's weird. Yeah, I don't know.
I was like, how dare you bring Christopher into this? He was like the main plot point of the one.
I know. I didn't realize it at first that it was the same guy from the one, but then she kept bringing up his like exact cases from the one, like that I remembered reading about, like how he killed like the pregnant woman or whatever, and like the way he was like, remember in the one how he was like trying to kill like 30 people or something, and he was trying to reach his goal, and then they said he was like the 30th victim, or whatever, because he died, like because he got killed at the end or whatever. And so she specifically mentioned those things, and I was like, oh my god, it's like that Christopher. So
I did think to myself, I was like, if this isn't the guy from the one, then John Mars really reusing a plot device. Like he's just like a serial killer of 30 women, and it happens again.
You're right. Oh my gosh.
Oh, my favorite little tie-in that I was like, okay, that was funny. Like I like that was when, oh my god, the guy. It's not Dominic. It wasn't Dominic. What, I don't remember. The dude that, what was her name? I don't remember. One of the women that she falls in love with. Was it Amelia?
Oh,
I don't
know. Flick, or right? Flick had like the main love story that happened at the end with that guy with Elijah or something.
And I was like, okay. Like I thought he was fine. Like I thought that he was okay. But whenever she goes to his house and she's like, oh my god, like you live in like a freaking mansion, and he's like, oh, it was and I don't remember the woman's name, but he was like, oh, it was the actress that died in the like crash or whatever. I was like,
oh yeah, that was cool. I do remember that. Yeah. Anytime I mentioned the other books, I got really excited because then I was like, maybe I'll care. And then it was like,
yeah. I think that disappointed me because I was like, I kept reading being like, there was a couple times where a plot twist, I'd be like, oh, but then I was like, oh, for what?
Yeah. For what? Oh yeah. What was that whole thing about? Like Flick's boyfriend doing pictures of the victims? Dude, I'm having trouble remembering this, to be honest, but I remember, I know what you're talking about.
He says, she asks him about that, like acting like he's a monster or something, that he's doing this. Yeah. And he says, I want to give them a life other than just being a victim. I want to make them into a piece of art, and we can like, whatever, view them. And she's like, why would you only paint them or whatever and their death scene? And he's like, I don't remember what he says, but it wasn't that horrible. Like, I feel like he said like, oh, well, I don't know. I can't remember like what he said, but to me at the moment, I was like, I feel like that makes sense. I feel like it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that was strange though. I honestly forgot about that part, how he did that. That is weird.
I didn't understand how, and this is another like, how does the government mess up so bad? But how was it so easy, so incredibly easy for them to break the rules? Like,
yeah.
Okay, also like the safe house thing. I was like, okay, they get the message that they're supposed to go to the safe house. And just none of them go. I mean, Sinead, but I was like, Sinead. But I was like, just none of them go. I was like, okay, the government didn't even have a contingency plan. It was like, well, none of them are here. What do we do?
I know. Yeah. Well, and it was weird because was the government the one that wanted them all to go there, or was that the people that were like the hackers that were with Amelia that like were trying to get them all to come so they can kill them?
Well, see, that was confusing because I feel like the only person that we knew that was like actually one of the government people was Ted, and then everybody else was a hacker. And I was like, well, Ted's dead, so I guess the government just doesn't care about you anymore.
Oh my gosh, that whole thing with like her hallucinating Ted at the end was so confusing. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I was like, so they're all crazy. Is it like they got stuff put into their head and then it like, because Bruno was just straight up bonkers from the jump.
Yeah.
And immediately after, maybe even before he got it put in, but he was just like crazy from the beginning. And then Amelia was going crazy and seeing things. Like I actually was like, oh shit. Whenever they were both in the car and Bruno's like looking at the echoes and Amelia's like, you can see them too. I was like,
no, like, wait, what? Yeah, because the way she was projecting like that girl Bianca, or like the two people that were talking to her the entire time that were like the other hackers, they were like not real the whole time. I was like so confused by that. I was like, wait, what?
Were they people from the first round? And then what, like she killed them or something?
I guess, but she was like hallucinating them the whole time. So I think maybe at one point they were real, but when we were reading about them, I think they were just like her echoes or her like,
You'd think that if the government had something implanted inside your brain, they know when you died. But
I know.
Wait, also, why did the government not come to stop any of this? Like, people are dying, and no, I was like, I need a SWAT team.
That's what I mean. They had like no protection. They just kind of like threw them out into the world with like no supervision, no like keeping an eye on them. Like they had so much information. I just don't understand like why. And like the way too that they were like, well, weren't they saying it would be bad if all 5 of them got killed because they didn't have any backup or something? They were like, because wasn't there a scene with the prime minister in those like weird chapters when he was like, oh, well, like, why don't you guys make a backup in case this happened or something? Or like, why don't we have a backup plan? And I was like, wait, what? Like, what?
Like they were, I was kind of confused. I guess I was trying to fill in the blanks by myself without John Mars. Because whenever, like, I think it was like, so when Ted died and he was one of the miners and he gets fished out of the lake or whatever, they mentioned something about like that. I think that they'd like maybe they cut into his brain or something. And they were like, oh, well, they didn't get it because he had his, like the bead in his calf. And I was like, well, one, you'd see it. I'm just saying. But I'm like, there ain't no way. But I'm like, okay, so what? They were supposed to have it in their head and that after the 5 years, they were going to have it taken out. And then if they died, it was like, well, fine, we'll just dig you up and take the bead out. But I don't understand why they thought that in 5 years, this problem was just not going to be a problem anymore. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't make sense. And yeah, I had forgotten about the plot twist at the end. I was looking at my notes that said, like Amelia is the neuroscientist who created the procedure to implant data into human brains.
Yeah.
I forgot that twist that like, I feel like that twist is so similar to the twist in the one when we realized like that girl is like the one who invented the whole thing. And so I was like, I should have seen this coming because like, what the fuck? But
well, I mean, I don't know if it was that. I wonder if I listened to this on audio, if I would have enjoyed it more because I was thinking, we're actually going to, Grace and I are going on a road trip in like a little over a week. And she was like, let's listen to the one. And I was like, okay, cool. Even though she is already spoiled, I'm like, what's going to happen? I was like, I need to reread this because is it as good as I remember? Like, he's making me doubt.
I know. Yeah. Well, now I'm questioning it. Yeah.
But I feel like the one was, I don't know. I don't think I would give it below a 3-star, even if I reread it and was like, this is like
good. Yeah, they were allowed to leave, and even the government said we will not know where they are, so that the hackers won't know too. But wouldn't you keep track? I know, that's what I mean, because like I understand that they don't want to track them because then it'll be easier for hackers to also track them. But like by not tracking them, isn't it like threatening their safety? I mean, clearly it did, right? I mean,
but it's also like, why? Okay, when they said, okay, like they're not going to track them or whatever, but people should have still known, like they knew who they were, right? And the whole point of the book was that people can't be hacked; they can only be compromised. But I was like, this book is really, really, really overestimating, like, or underestimating how easy it is to compromise someone. Like how easy. I was like, Sinead was willing to die for a baby that she just stolen.
Yeah, I know. Well, and like what they were basing this all on anyways, like the original like puzzle or, you know, whatever they had to take to get it, it was like all of them had that like special, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it was like synesthesia or whatever. When it's like, yeah, when they can like see colors, when they hear music and stuff like that. So they all had that like unique thing anyways to begin with. So it's like, I don't know. It's like if that information was out there, then wouldn't hackers be able to like find people that had this ability? And, you know, I don't know. Like,
I didn't think about that, but that not many people can have that. Like when they said Kanye West had it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Like,
I'm like, okay, that can't be a large group of people. And it really, that's something I thought about while I was reading this, is I was like, does John Mars have this like synesthesia or whatever? Because he's really hyping it up like it's a superpower.
Yeah, I know. I've personally never even heard of it before I read this, so I was pretty like fascinated by the idea of that. I mean, it sounds really cool, but also that whole thing with how they were saying like Amelia, you know, when he was saying how she didn't remember anything because she had been involved in like the thing at work where like somebody came in and stabbed all of her coworkers or something. My immediate thought was like she did it because they said the coworker's name was Emily, who like came in and stabbed everyone. And I'm like, her name is Amelia. I'm like, what? Like, I was like, it's so obvious, but then it like never got brought up again, really. And I was like,
how did I not put that together? How did I? You know, I thought to myself, I was like, for some reason, I was like, is this a tie-in to the one, like the whole? But I don't know why I thought that. I was just like, did that happen in the one? I don't know.
The book mentioned COVID. When did the book mention COVID?
Oh, it did. It did. Oh my God. No, it's in. I highlighted it. It was in the very beginning. It's like in like the first like 12 pages. I think it's when he's spoiling his other books. Okay, it says, this malicious act of terrorism caused 5,000. It's talking about the passengers. This malicious act of terrorism caused 5,120 deaths and injuries, and was the single biggest loss of life on British soil since the coronavirus pandemic of 2020.
What?
Also, real quick, this is my first note, page 2. Page 2. He is looking at this woman who's like a guard, I think. Yeah, it's a guard, and it's a woman. And I don't understand. John Mars was like, in my opinion, sexist in this book quite a few times, and I didn't appreciate it. But he was like looking at this woman, and he couldn't stop looking at her, like, oh my God, she's like different. And she says, thank you, or he says, thank you. And quickly looked away, realizing he had held her gaze for too long. Strong women, either physically or mentally, scared and aroused him in equal measure. It's page 2, John Mars.
God. You know, I feel like sometimes I was skimming through so much of this that I missed that part. Oh my God.
Also the whole, like, I really didn't like was it Charles and Milo thing? Because Charles would not stop bringing up how he was like afraid of Milo being gay. Like he was so put off by it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, but you kissed him, bro. You kissed him.
Dude, what? Like, I wanted a gay storyline in this book so bad that I was like confused by their mixed signals or whatever was happening with them. I was like, what? And then when it said that like he had died, I was like, so he actually killed him? Like, right? Because he was like, when he was on the roof, right, he was like, oh, you can talk to me. And he's like, if I talk to you, I'd have to kill you, about when he was, you know, and then he actually did? Like, what?
I think that they were horrible people. Like they were, and especially I thought that was interesting is that I feel like Charles is the only one that we hear about going full tilt on the makeover part of it.
Mhm.
Like full tilt on being like,
Yeah.
I want to be, everybody else was like, oh damn, all this training really like made me fit. And he's like, tan me up, fix my teeth, fucking do this, do that, like make me look beautiful. And I'm like, you're not attracted to Milo? I'm confused.
Yeah, I know. I didn't realize either that Milo was gay until that chapter. I didn't either. I don't know why I wasn't picking up on it, but then like that's why I was like, oh, finally, like there's gonna be a gay storyline. It's gonna be so interesting. And then like his character dies, so I was like, oh.
Well, Bruno mentions thinking that Milo's gay a couple, or he doesn't. I don't even say he says gay, but Milo will do something that's kind of effeminate, and Bruno will be like watching him, like that's weird, or like whatever. And I was like, what is he doing? Like, or sorry, Charles, not Bruno. I'm like, Charles, get over yourself. And he's like, is he? Oh, I don't know.
This is interesting. I didn't understand how Charlie couldn't feel anything to the point that he pushed his friend off a roof, but like Sinead stole a baby so it wouldn't be hurt, and Flick didn't want to see Grace hurt. Yeah, what? That's what I mean. The inconsistency with how this like affected each of the characters was like, it was inconsistent. So.
Well, I was wondering, I was like, did the government, like, they didn't know what they were doing? And I was like, did you have a brain surgeon? Because one of them, Bruno, went insane immediately. Amelia had hallucinations. Sinead, I was like, she just wasn't maybe super intelligent from the jump, but I'm like, so she wasn't like, maybe she was hallucinating. I don't know. My rating is lowering by the minute.
Same, honestly. Oh my God. Are we supposed to assume that the procedure made them all more aggressive or violent? Because if that's the case, even more reason as to why using people is insane. Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of them did, right?
Uh-huh.
Like get more aggressive and violent after, whether it was like because of like the echoes or just, I don't know.
I was like, why was Flick, for starters, totally like normal, but she was boring. If we want to go there, she was just boring. I was like, okay, we get it. You're sad because your match is a serial killer.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, what I mean? I'm not because of her backstory, because of her as a character. Like, God bless that friend. That was like, sis, yeah, leave this motherfucker. Daniel. Why do I remember his name? Because he sucked so much.
That's true that I forgot that like since they don't feel pain, maybe that's why they get more okay with like aggression and violence because like they personally can't feel pain.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't affect them as much. So maybe that's why they're a little bit more aggressive because it doesn't have the same consequence like as before.
I don't know why they didn't feel like superpowers. I was like, okay, you can't feel pain and you have all this secrets inside your head. I'm like, you can't pick a Gemini. That's for sure. I could not. I could never. Are you kidding me? My facial expressions alone would have given up the ghost at a trivia. I would have been like,
oh my gosh. Yeah, this is interesting too, how like the depiction of mental health was a little bit problematic because I've seen this complaint before with some of John Marr's books, and I don't know why I don't usually pick up on this like while I'm reading it, but then like reflecting on books, I usually notice this kind of stuff.
Well, Charles was cutting himself through the whole book, but it wasn't like he was cutting himself consistently, but it wasn't like they were acting like it wasn't mental illness. It was just he's bored. I was like, okay.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
Or he wanted to be like, oh, I don't feel anything. I'm like, doesn't that get old after like the first time that it doesn't do anything for you?
Yeah, that is interesting. I know. I thought it was kind of strange how the book ended with like Flick had the baby with that guy Leo, right? And then she can't be a part of their lives for like another year or something because she's like the only minder that is left living or something, right? And then like I don't know if they say at the end of the book that there's like another group of minders that are going to be like the next ones or something, right? And it was just like, it was so anticlimactic, the ending. I was just like, okay, like I don't really care about Flick that much. And like, that's cool that she's like, I guess.
Well, okay, I didn't think about that. That it was like, instead of it being over in 5 years, they were just like, oh, it's going to be over for you. And then we're going to give it to somebody else. But I was like, okay, I'm confused. People are going to know because you're going to disappear for one. And then you're going to reappear after 5 years. And for starters, expect nobody to notice. And then for them to just keep their mouths shut forever.
Yeah, it was strange. Like, I don't know. I just found the ending to be so like anticlimactic. Like after all of that, and then it's just like, oh, like that's the end.
Well, actually, something that I did think, because in The Passengers, I loved The Passengers, but The Passengers did like the ending was similar to this one, even though I felt like in The Passengers it was drawn out even more. But the reason I gave The Passengers 4 stars instead of 5 was because the last 100 pages was what this did with Flick and the guy, which was just continuing the story of like, we don't really care about these two people's love story enough to keep reading after the big plot twists are over. And that's what and I feel like in The Passengers, like the last 100 pages, I was like, are we still talking right now?
Yeah, no, I remember that too. I remember though caring more in The Passengers. Like I remember that I did like the main character and her love interest, so I didn't mind it as much. But yeah, I totally agree. It was like the same kind of situation where they just kind of drag it out to be like 400 pages.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, like 1 more year to go.
I was like, I don't care already about Flick, who I couldn't take seriously if my life depended on it.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was like interesting that I wasn't hearing anybody talk about, and I was like, I talked about this with Grace for like a hot minute. I was like, why is nobody on Goodreads talking? I mean, maybe they are and I just didn't see it. But, and what even page is this? There's no page number at this part. I love that for me. It's like 68 or something like that. But this I don't know. It's that like the public message board read well was Goodreads. And I was like, okay, listen. I was like, how is nobody talking about this? The public message board Read Well is the largest online book club in the world with 20 million subscribers. Our minders will regularly log on for updates, and only if their mission is at risk will we send them a recall notice. And then they'll be typing in the name of the book, and there's like reviews under it, and it's supposed to be like, if you know that person, and they left a review. And I was like, this literally the government is using Goodreads.
Yeah, what? Do you think that's like John Mars's way of trying to like interest readers? Like,
yeah,
like I don't know if I like that in books when authors like so obviously try to like bait people who love reading into being like, look at how cool, like.
He definitely did that with the coronavirus.
I know, but like, why? What?
I was like, is the government? What I wrote down next to that was, is the government really using Goodreads for political espionage?
I know, what? That doesn't make any sense. Jeez, I missed that too. Was that in the parts where it was like the prime minister talking to them?
Yes. I was like, okay. It was, but with a weaker premise.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like this premise, if I had just said this out loud, like, oh, it's about like governments hacking things until they put like the secrets into people, I'd be like, oh, okay, that sounds boring. Like it sounds boring compared to the previous 2 books, It
is. And I didn't know, I had no idea what it was about because I was like, I don't care. It's John Mars. Like, I'll read it.
I know. That's what I mean. Same.
Super rushing. He always does.
Yeah. I agree.
And he'll just kill people. He's just like, well, bye. We're only going to have the lovers left. I'm like,
I know. Weren't part of the minders or government weren't reviewing that book. I don't understand. Was it like a specific book?
I get maybe the book didn't exist. And then it was just like a fake book. But also, I swear, whenever they put the thing saying like that they were recalling them, it was like the review and it was recalling them. Whenever they did that, I was like, and then they wrote back like, oh, I'm going to put this one down. I'm going to pick up Julius Caesar instead. I was like, okay, the hackers are going to be like, clearly that's a. I don't know who you're fooling, sis.
Which one? Which book is your favorite from John Mars? Like, or which ones have you read, and which ones are your favorite?
Okay, I was like, if I was next to my bookshelf, I'd be like, I've only read. Okay, so this is my 4th John Mars that I've read. But I would say, like, if I was ranking them, it would be the one I gave 5 stars. The Passengers I gave 4 stars, and then What Lies Between Us. But listen, What Lies Between Us, I gave 3 stars. It's the plot twists are absolutely phenomenal. I freaking love that book. And I honestly need to go back and amend it and make it 4 stars. But Nina, and you know it's bad when you remember a character's name. Nina, I do not think there has ever been a character that has annoyed me more than Nina. And it's because she's written so well. She's written so well. She's freaking bonkers. And I hate that not miscommunication. What lies between, and this is not a spoiler, but like it's in the summary, but I can't stand personally when characters are like, well, I can't tell you, I have to keep these secrets to protect you. And the miscommunication of being like, you should have just told me the truth. It's like what the whole book is about. And Nina pissed me off so much.
Oh man. No, I get that. I think those are the only 4 I've read too. And I would agree that the one is probably still my favorite. But then I think I would do What Lies Between Us would be my second favorite, and then The Passengers, and then this one. But yeah, somebody said The Good Samaritan. That's definitely one. I own this book, and I do want to read this one soon. And I'm just like worried because like after not having a great experience with this, but that's why I'm shocked.
You read that before.
Yeah, he wrote this one before, but like this is the first John Mars that I haven't liked, so I'm
and I loved What Lies Between Us. I was so mad about and that's why, you know, I probably like maybe I could have given this 2, but I was angry. I was like, John Mars, you let us down so freaking hard. Like, what are you doing? But I wanted to read some other John Mars stuff, and you know what's funny is I was going to go and scour through your channel to be like about The Good Samaritan and Her Last Move or something like that, because I thought you had read them.
Yeah, no, I've only read these 4 so far. I didn't even know When She Disappeared. I don't know what that one even is.
Is that the one where it's like the phone hanging off the hook?
No, that's The Good Samaritan, I'm pretty sure.
Well, he doesn't have anything on Libby besides Passengers, but
I know his books are never available at my library. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he's like a UK author, so he's just more well known over there. I don't know. So yeah, but they never have his stuff at my library.
The one is worth paying the audio for, like in my opinion.
Really? I know. I wanted to read the audio just because I've heard they're like full cast, right? So they have like full cast of narrators for his audiobooks.
Oh, you physically read the one?
I physically read all of his books.
Oh my God. Okay, this is perfect. What? So I did not get that experience. I own the one and The Passengers because I was like, I love these books so much, I'm just going to pay and own them. But I was wondering if it was just as good of an experience because the one is a full cast. And I was like, am I going to like the physical book as much?
Yeah, I still gave it 5 stars when I read it physically. Like, I loved it. So, but I have been wanting to listen to the audiobook for like the one and The Passengers just because I heard they were like full cast and that they're really fun audiobooks. So
they are, and they have a lot of The Passengers has like sound effects and a little bit more like them kind of like acting because it's like a thriller and they're all in this crazy situation. And of course, my favorite is the older lady. I'm just obsessed. Her accent, her like, oh, well.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. Anytime something is really good as an audiobook, I'm like, cool, I'll read it. We're down to ride.
I know. I wish audiobooks were like more widely available, like as quickly as physical copies usually are.
Yeah, especially like when there's only 1 or 2 platforms that will have an audiobook. I'm like, meh. Or like say Scribd, which I just re-downloaded Scribd. You can only listen at 2 times the speed, and sometimes that just ain't enough.
Dude, I can't deal with Scribd. I got rid of Scribd so long ago. They were pissing me off. Like, I hate how they say like unlimited audiobooks, but you really only get like 3 a month. And then like sometimes I'll like download one, but then I won't even finish listening to it because I'll like DNF it or something. And then you can't even like get more than like the 3 or whatever. And they were like screwing with like what part of the book I was in. It was so frustrating. Like anytime I would listen to it, it would like send me back like 5 chapters or something. And like, I couldn't deal with it. I don't have Scribd anymore.
Oh no, definitely. I had gotten it, whatever, in the very beginning of quarantine, used it for like 2 months, got so angry at it, deleted it. And the only reason I got it again was because I wanted to listen to the second book in the Athena Club, and they had it, and I was like, and it did do that where it would take me back to the beginning, but thank God I had the physical book I was following along with, so I knew where I was. But like, yeah, that's annoying.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like just listening to like audiobooks, I'm like, dude, no. But yeah, and fuck that. 2 times listening speed, that is not fast enough.
No.
I need at least 2.5 or I will like go insane.
Yeah, the one that I literally was listening to this as fast as humanly possible because
not good.
No. Well, I mean, you know what? For other people, I'm sure it was a heck of a ride, but it wasn't for me. Not for me. Elena, how do you listen it 2 times as girl? How? Well, that's what you do. You start out at what you start. Okay, you're gonna think everybody is like, Grace did this too. She was like, how do you do that? That's insane. And I was like, listen to it at like 1.25, then go to 1.5, then go to 1.75. And that's like anybody can listen at that speed after a while. But then when you start listening to things at 1 times the speed, you're like, there cannot be a way people talk this slow.
I know, it's so so slow.
But Every Value Break is on Scribd now? I didn't even think Every Value Break was out yet.
Oh, it just came out on Tuesday. Or yeah, like about a week ago. Yeah, it's the next month, yep.
I'm definitely reading that, even though Peter Swanson and I have a tumultuous relationship.
I know, I'm curious because like I've seen so many mixed reviews for Every Value Break. Like some of my friends are like, oh my god, 5 stars, amazing. And then some of my friends are like, oh my god, it's trash. So like I'm really curious to see how I'm gonna feel about it. Because yeah, I usually do love Peter Swanson, but there have been a few that I've been pretty disappointed by. So
I'm planning on rereading The Kind Worth Killing this month. So
you'll have to let me know how that goes. I've only read that book once, and I still consider it like one of my top 3 favorite thrillers like ever. And I've been wanting to reread it for so long just to see if I still feel the same. But like, I don't know. It's never.
What is your favorite book that you've read for the book troop so far? Because you've done like 4. Is it the 4th one?
I feel like I keep picking like fucking bad books, but
they're not out yet. You wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, the first one I did was The Wife Upstairs, which is probably my favorite so far. And then last month was The Wrong Family, which that was a 1 star for me. And now this, like, But, I mean, at least it makes for fun conversation, you know?
Well, it's also, thrillers, it's hard for, like, thrillers and stuff because they are very hit or miss, where if you picked, like, a fiction or, like, a romance or something, I feel like it's more likely that you're gonna, like, where thrillers, it's like, okay, was it thrilling? Well, we thought it would be. The summary was great. Yeah,
that's what I mean. It's like hard to rate thrillers sometimes because like usually I always say like I don't need to care about characters to be invested in a thriller, which I think is true, but it's still like I need to care about something though, you know, like I need to care about the plot or like what's going on because like I think this book has proved to me that like I do need to care about something or else I'm just like, what's the point?
What you say is like, even if it's not the best, it doesn't have to be like the best anything else, but like what is like the most thrilling book experience that you've had like reading a book?
Oh God, I don't know. I feel like No Exit is a book that I always say is like thrilling. Like it's not much of a mystery, but that book is thrilling, like action packed, you know?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yes. Like that's like the only one I could think of that I was literally like like reading that book. I was like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen? Like, you know, so that one's amazing.
That's amazing because I physically read that and was like, and I would go to work and I'd be like, listen. And I would just walk around and I'd be like, listen. And the next day they'd be like, what else happened? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then blah, blah, blah. Like it was like a freaking documentary I was watching.
Yeah. No, for real. Like that one's just like so action packed that like that one has to be the most thrilling. But like,
I think if I was thinking of like thriller, like, well, I look at like, say when I think of John Mars, I'm like, okay, like thriller. And then when I look at other things, I'm like, okay, like mystery. Like they're maybe a little bit different. But if I was thinking like the best experiences that I've had with like mystery thrillers, even if maybe something else was like better written, maybe, but like the best experiences that I've had reading a mystery thriller, definitely No Exit. All 3 of the times I've read Gone Girl.
Yes. Oh my God. Same. I've read Gone Girl twice and like, God here.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's so good because it's like, even if you know what's going to happen, you're like, this is like the part of my life.
And like the writing is just so good. It's so captivating. And like Amy's character, oh my God.
That plot twist, when I listened to it on audio the first time I read it, and I literally went onto the curb when I was driving when I heard the plot twist because I was shook.
Oh my God, I bet. I can't even imagine listening to that while driving. Oh yeah, the book The Sanatorium does sound pretty interesting. I've heard mixed things about that one too.
I feel like I've heard of it, but I'm like blanking completely.
Oh yeah, I do want to read this one too. The Girls Are All So Nice Here. I don't think it'll end up being a book club hit because I've already announced pretty much everything through like August. So
that's a dope title.
It is cool. The Girls Are All So Nice Here.
I'm like, oh yeah, you're already giving me
I know, they're not nice.
Dun, dun, dun.
Plot twist, they're not nice. Oh man.
And I didn't notice this until like Grace pointed it out to me that I was like, I haven't been reading that many thrillers and like mysteries recently. She was like, oh, you've been reading a lot of fantasy. I was like, oh, I didn't even notice that. I like was kind of, I mean, you know, you go in waves to different things, but I was like, yeah, you're right. I haven't, except for, I swear, the best book that I've read recently, like the best, I was about to say the best book I've read. It might be. There's 2 other books that I loved more, but the best book that I've read this year was definitely The Push by Ashley Audrain. That was phenomenal. Like,
yes, dude, I love that book. That book, the book hurt. Oh my God. Oh, it was so good. I don't know, like that book is so hard to recommend though, because I don't feel like I want to recommend because it's so dark and just like hard to read. And I don't really think it's like a thriller, you know, but oh my God, it's just so good. Like it's such a psychological like study. Like, I don't know, I loved it so much.
Yeah. It's so many triggers that it's hard to even say what the triggers are because then you're just like giving away everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that book is crazy. Yeah, I love that book so much.
I think what I'm going to say, I recommend The Push, but if you don't like it, I never said anything and you can't prove it.
Yeah. Read No Exit. Woo! Oh my God,
somebody said last night that the audiobook for No Exit is bad. I don't know if that's true, but just to put that out there.
I don't know. I read it physically, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Justin, yes, I just read Who is Maud Dixon. I really liked it. I thought it was a thriller, but it's like a mystery thriller-ish book. I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Can you read Gone Girl if you already watched the movie? I mean, I would say yes.
Yes.
Why not?
Because you get in their heads and it's so fascinating.
It's really interesting, yeah. Yeah, Silent Patient's also one of my faves.
Wait, is the Maidens? No, the Maidens isn't one of your picks.
No, I did read it though. It comes out in June. It's so good.
Oh, that's why I'm remembering it, because you read it in the same blog. Okay.
I freaking loved it. Oh my gosh.
I'm excited for that because that is another case of I rated The Silent Patient a 1 star because I hated the guy so much. And I'm thinking back to myself being like, I'm just so judgmental. I'm like, this guy sucks.
1 star. Oh my gosh. Well, that's awesome that you like The Push. I feel like if I was a parent, The Push would have like affected me so much different than it did. I mean, it was already like, whoa. And I feel like because I'm not a parent, I was like, you know, it made me like scared to have children.
Yeah.
More scared than I already am. Like, ugh. But God, yeah, that book's amazing. Wait, what? The Push was okay. Seemed too similar to The Perfect Child, which I thought was darker. I haven't read The Perfect Child.
Yeah, I haven't read it. It felt I think that the easiest way to recommend it is if you loved sharp objects, like if you like the tone of sharp objects. Ashley Audrain wrote in like a super similar way.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Sharp Objects and Gone Girl had a baby and the book was about babies, it would be The Bush.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, her and I have a different opinion about that.
Yeah, I personally love the movie, but I can see why somebody wouldn't like it because the casting is interesting. Like I love Rosamund Pike as Amy, but the rest of the casting, I'm like Neil Patrick Harris, like I don't think so. It just did not work for me at all in that movie.
Oh, and then God, I can't remember the guy who played the
Ben Affleck. Oh, wait, what?
The guy who played the lawyer, and they basically
the
like famous. I was like,
yeah, what's his name? Tyler Perry.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he was an like he was okay, but yeah, Neil Patrick Harris. I was like, what? It was just a strange casting choice.
Oh my god. What do you mean? Do you want to read the new Riley Sager? She's going to read it for the book troop.
Yes. It's the July 6th. Yes, July. It's happening in July.
The only reason that I was like, I knew before you announced it, that I was like, in my head, I was like, of course it's going to be July. It's going to be the Riley Sager one, was because way back when you were doing the live show with Olivia and she was like, oh, the book comes out on so-and-so and it's coming out on my birthday. I was like, oh yeah, you have to do it for,
right.
for the book trip.
I know we were talking about it being, I think, like the Summerween like buddy read or something, but I was like, well, I can't because it's like I'm reading for the book trip. But like, I was like, I mean, maybe we could just do like a Summerween / book trip. Actually, I don't know.
The crossover event here first,
right? Oh my gosh.
You know, Riley Sager is an interesting person to talk about because I thought this when I was reading Blake Crouch's books too, is that I was like, he's very formulaic. Like you can't read his books back to back. And I think that's true about Riley Sager because I didn't notice how formulaic he was until I saw, I don't remember what reading vlog it was. I can't recite it, but there was a reading vlog where Noelle read one of his books and was like, this is his formula and listed it out. And I was like, oh my God, he does do that in every single book. You're right. But I've read like all 4 of his books. 2 of them I hated. 2 of them I freaking love, like 5 stars. And I was like, if I read all those back to back, I would have been annoyed because.
Yeah, that's true. I've read his books like years apart. Like I read them like as they publish. So I don't know. I've never read his books like back to back. So I never noticed.
Well, she's like, oh, it's always a female main character. Where I was like, yeah, why does he not ever write men? But it's always a female main character. They always start sleeping with the person who they think did it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and I can't remember, there's all these other things where I was like, yeah, that has happened in every single book. Like,
yeah, it's weird because I do see conversation about how some people like are so upset that Riley Sager only writes women, but like for some reason with him as an author, I never get annoyed at the fact that like his female main characters feel like genuine to me. Like, I don't know, because I do like sometimes that really does get on my nerves when male authors only write female characters, but they write them in a way that's so like sexualized almost or something, you know. But like for Riley Sager, like it's never bothered me to be honest about like him writing female characters. But with some male authors, oh my gosh, yeah, I definitely see that.
Well, I think that he does it well. I just find it interesting that he's never written from a man's point of view because you'd think that he would have been told he'd make more money doing that.
Well, I had heard like that because, you know, Riley Sager's a pen name, and I had heard that he chose that name because he wanted people to assume he was a female author. Like Riley Sager is like kind of, it can be like either or. So they think like female authors tend to publish more in the thriller genre, I guess, like, or at least that style of thriller is usually more, I don't know, like I guess like Ruth Ware and like Lisa Jewell, you know, like there's all these names, like, so I guess he wanted to be perceived as like possibly he could be a female writer, so that's why he writes only females as well, because that's how he was trying to come across. Like I don't know if that was true, but I heard about that, so I was like, okay, I guess that would make sense. And like, and if somebody did say like this book was written by a woman, like I wouldn't like think, you know, I'd be like, oh, okay, like I wouldn't be like, no, this is a man's writing, you know, like. That's
so interesting because I was like, I don't know why, but to me, Riley Sager always sounded like a man's name, and I never questioned it. And I've heard so many people be like, oh my God, Riley Sager is a man. I'm like, yeah, I know. So that's what I mean. I think that's kind of like the point of it, was that they were trying to
or he's trying to appeal more to women by making them think it's like it might be a female author. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I always give Riley Sager a chance, even if I'm like say I didn't like Final Girls and I didn't like Last Time I Lied, but I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna give him a chance because I gave 5 stars to Home Before Dark and I gave 5 stars to Lock Every Door.
Yes. Oh my
But
God.
like say Ruth Ware, I was like, why do I keep picking up her books? I have never given one single one a 5-star, and I can't stop reading them.
Dude, I only pick up Ruth Ware because I love The Turn of the Key so much, and that's it. Like, literally every other one of her books, I'm like, but I still do it too. I don't know why. I think it's because her premises are always interesting to me. Like, her book premises are always like some of my favorite premises, and then they just don't end up working out usually. But like, her ideas, I think, are really strong, and I'm just like hoping one of them like be as great. I don't know.
I don't know about One by One because I've heard such mixed things. People are either like, I don't know what everybody's talking about. It was really good, or ew, this is sucked.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it on hold at Libby. I'm like, I'm not going to buy it, but if it comes in, I might listen to it.
That's so true. Taylor Adams is also kind of one of those names that could be perceived as like female or male. I never even thought about that. And yeah, you know, Taylor Adams has a new book coming out in June too. He's the author of the No Exit, right?
Yeah. I've never read anything else by him.
I know, me neither. But he has one coming out in June. I think it's called Hairpin Bridge. It looks so good.
Love the title.
It looks really interesting. It's like something about a bridge and like people died. I don't know.
something about a bridge. Some death.
I'll read it.
I'll pick it up. You know what? Somebody actually, it was so funny. I was like, I mean, this is hilarious. I want to comment, but I'll just delete it. Is that there was like a couple of people that were like commenting, being like, why do you even like make videos if you don't know what the books are about? Like when I'm hauling or when I'm just like, I'm going to read this book and I'm like, I don't know what it's about. And I was like, for the suspense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I was like, if I hear, like, say, if you're reading a book and you're like, oh my God, I love it, I will have already forgotten what you said the book was about. And then if I go and I see that like Olivia or Kayla just mention the book, they don't even have to read it. They just mention it. I'm like, I have to buy it.
No, same. That's why I always am like adding books to like my wish list, and then I forget like 5 minutes after why I added it. And then it's like, I usually prefer that though, because I don't like to read the thriller description before I read it, because it usually spoils you. Like half the time, like I'll find that thriller descriptions do spoil something within the first like 100 pages. So I'd rather just like go into it not knowing a whole lot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
sometimes I don't. The only book that I've had a problem with not reading the summary and being like, maybe I should have read the summary was I'm reading Legendborn right now. And I am so confused because I'm like, I don't understand what's happening at all. But like, if I'd ever watched the show Merlin, I'm sure I would have been like way more on board. But I'm like, who? Yeah. What's happening?
That's fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't read fantasy much, but I can't imagine not reading the description of a fantasy. I'd be like, what?
Yeah. You know, that makes me want to pick up Scythe so bad, which it's still on my TBR. But I know that you loved it, and I was like, she doesn't even read fantasy. So
yeah, I loved it. Have you seen like Blade Runner, like that movie franchise at all?
I definitely have. I don't remember it very much, but I know I've seen Blade Runner.
Yeah, because Blade Runner, like not the first one, but Blade Runner 2049 is like one of my all-time favorite movies, and it just reminded me so much of like the Blade Runner universe. So I think that's why I loved Scythe so much. Like, oh, it's just so cool. And I guess I love the like idea of fantasy where it's like people are like immortal, and it's kind of more of like a sci-fi aspect of fantasy. Like I love that kind of fantasy. Like that is really interesting.
I feel like it has to be one or the other for me. Like it either has to be like not actually fantasy and just like, I heard somebody describe The Minders as, they said it was a 5 minutes in the future sci-fi. And I was like, that's cool, because I love that with John Marsden. It's like, this isn't, or Blake Crouch does that too, where it's like, this isn't our world, but it could be in a couple of years. It has to be that, or it has to be like, we have wings, fires come out of our hands. Like, it has to be X-Men level to like get me to really care. That's why this one, I was like, we're just on the sea. I don't care. Yeah.
Well, that's why Scythe is interesting, because it's like, it's pretty far into the future, you know, obviously because people are literally immortal, like we've discovered how to like live forever. So I don't feel like that's coming up anytime soon. But besides that, I do feel like it feels pretty close enough to our society that it's like really interesting for that reason alone. Like I just think like if we did live in our society right now, but we also had this ability to live forever, like this is what it would look like, you know? And so that's why I think it's so interesting. But
sorry.
what's going on, Scott?
I was like, what? You're reading like what is happening? But I'm definitely interested in reading that. You haven't posted, well, neither of us have posted our TBR yet, obviously. Because I couldn't post my wrap up or my TBR because I was like, I have to get this out into the wind first.
Yes, same. And I felt like talking to you would help me clarify my thoughts because I still didn't know like what my rating even was for this book. So I was like, after the live show, then I'll be able to film the wrap up because I'll know how I feel. Yeah.
I was happy that at the end I was like, no, I have a definitive like answer because usually I don't. I have to talk about things first to like know what I think.
Yeah. That's why it's like I even read this book like 2 weeks ago and I'm still like, yeah, I don't really know how I feel about it. But yeah, I do feel like
I rated Passengers 5 stars, and it was 5 stars for like 5 or 6 months until Grace read it and then was like, why was the last 100 pages even part of the book? And then when I went back, I was like, oh yeah, this was definitely a 4-star.
That's so true. Oh my God. I know sometimes I feel like just talking books out with other people, it helps me like clarify what I'm feeling. Sometimes I'll just be like so hyped and I'll be like, boom, 5 stars, boom, you know? And then it's like, then I go back, like the same thing happened with The Wife Upstairs. It was like, I really loved it. I wanted to give it like 4.5. And then after talking about it in the live show, I had so many different issues with it, but it's like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I have to base it off of my pure enjoyment, you know? Because it's like, I like genuinely loved it when I finished it. Then like, I feel like I should still, you know, I don't know. Rating books is weird.
Well, no, that's totally like, I think if there's a lot of emotion with a book, then it's like, yeah, it's a favorite. Like there's a difference between 5 stars and a favorite too. Yeah. Where I'm like, no, some things are just close to my heart and they mean so much to me. Like I swear to God, listen, I won't fight anybody that tells me this book isn't good because I'm not here to preach on it. Yeah. But Carry On is on one of my favorites because it makes my heart so happy. Am I telling you it's a 5-star book? No. But
I mean, there is such thing as guilty pleasures, but also I don't think we should feel guilty about anything that we enjoy. So I mean, you know, but I know what you mean because it's like sometimes like when you give a book 5 stars, people automatically think it's something that you would really recommend to other people. But I don't think that's always necessarily the case, you know, because like sometimes like my reading taste is so unique and personal that I'm like, I personally would give this 5 stars, but I don't know if I would recommend it to anybody, you know. Like I feel that way about English.
With thinking about, like, I struggle with that mindset of thinking with Loveless. I'm like, is this if it's just a YA contemporary, is this 5 stars, or is it 5 stars because it's so good for its representation and that? But when other people have read it that like aren't asexual and they're like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, yeah, I mean, you're probably right. It probably is just fine if you don't emotionally connect with it.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Like, because it means something to you, it like means more. So that's why I think it's like rating books is weird because it's like, yeah, like I would give Loveless 5 stars hands down every time I read it, but that's because like I can see myself and like I feel represented and like there's a different reason for that, you know? So I don't know. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. Wow, well, we've been on here for over an hour. I guess, do you have any final thoughts about the Minders?
Overwhelming disappointment. I'm so sad because I was like, we really have to wait another like couple years.
I know.
Before we get another John Mars book. And I'm like, it probably will be like a mystery because he's done, I mean, maybe he's changed now. He doesn't do that anymore. But I'm like, also the fact that I was like, I should have known that this one, I should have known that I wasn't really going to like this because I said a long time ago that I wanted to read this the second it came out. And then I never heard anything about it coming out. And I was like, this seemed hushed Like,
yeah. I think it's because it came out in the UK like the end of last year, I think, and then it wasn't coming out until the US until like last month or something, and I just didn't hear about it for so long.
yeah. I was like, I feel like they were almost like, oh no, that's true. Hey,
this literally is just a rising book now. You know, I tried to start a good thing, and I'm just always a hater.
No, you know what? People love talking about that though, because what was it? I was actually like talking to like some of my friends, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry that you like didn't like the book. Like that's awkward." I was like, "No, because if you only talked about books that you loved, one, that would be fake. Like, I mean, if you just read books, you gave every single one a 5 star, I'd be like, are they all 5 stars? Like, you really love them?"
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, it's like I hate the fact that everyone has to read these books that we may not all like, but it's like at the same time, it at least encourages a really fun discussion, and it's like it is fun to like talk about, you know, all the issues and like kind of roast it a little bit. So.
And it's also, you know what we're doing? We're saving future people from reading the book.
Exactly. We're doing you a favor.
You just rename the book club. We read it so you don't have to.
Basically, at this point, oh my gosh. Yes, so every value break is the April pick. And yes, I announced on my Instagram that Noelle Gallagher is going to be my co-host for next month. So that is pretty exciting. Yeah, I did a bunch of announcements over on the Book Troop Instagram. So I'll have to link that down below because I keep forgetting to do that. But yeah, I'm gonna make all of the like official announcements on YouTube in my April TBR video, I'm sure. So
I'm so excited for next month. I'm like, I love you and Noelle are like my absolute faves. I'm like, cannot wait.
I know, I'm so excited. I was so stoked when she said yes because I was like, any chance you could like come on to the show? And she was like, yes, down. I was like, hell yeah. So
you messaged me like freaking like 7 weeks ago and was like, this is such late notice. I was like,
dude,
sure.
It was so late notice. I asked you like on one of the last days of February. I was like, please. So I'm so glad you were able to be on.
I freaking loved it. This is my first live, and you know what? Fun time, great time. Had the most.
Yeah, honestly, to anybody still watching, please go subscribe to Katie. She just makes my life so much better, and her videos are like so much fun to watch because she's such a ball of sunshine and energy, and it's a great time. So please go subscribe to Katie. Check her out. Give her a follow.
Thank you. That's so nice.
Of course. And thank you so much for reading with us, for hanging out with us. I've had a really great time. Should do this again soon.
Yes, we're just gonna, now that I have a better webcam, we just need to like FaceTime and talk about books because I swear to God.
Yes. Also, too, if you're ever like wanting to do a reading sprint or you're gonna go live or something, just like hit me up and we can, if I'm like not working or something, we can just go live whenever, you know?
Yes, I love that because I didn't know I was gonna love it until last night. If any of y'all watched that live, you know that this, what we're looking at right now, I went to Best Buy an hour ago and was like, please help me. Like,
yeah,
like,
I got a new webcam. Yes, I know. I'm so excited. I hope you do lives like more often now with it.
Yes, I will. And I don't really know how to do it. I didn't mean to keep the last one up, but that's fine.
I love it. Keep it up. It's quality content. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for hanging out. And I will see you very soon. Thank you for joining. Goodbye.
Bye.